Hi, I'm Barry. It would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I promise you, you will not regret it. I have so many quality videos lined up for the near future. I promise you're not going to want to miss it. Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, DraftKings. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. To my partners at DraftKings. The holidays are finally here and my partners at DraftKings have the perfect gift for you. Right now, all new DraftKings customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up using my promo code BARRY. Crown is yours. That's right. New customers get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins after betting just $5. And don't forget to stay in on the action and use your $150 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code BARRY and bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code BARRY only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Rams versus 49ers. This boring-ass game had more punts than the winning team had points. So yeah, not a very great review. There was a bunch of field goals and blah, blah, blah. Until the fourth quarter came around and the teams finally had an interception to show for it, which was a manly interception by Brock Purdy. The Rams then went up by 6 with 20 seconds left, and then the 49ers took a sack. The big story from this game was Devondre Campbell walking out on the 49ers in the third quarter and basically quitting on them. What an incredible Michael Jordan impersonation. Houston versus Miami. This game really came down to Tua Tagovailoa not being able to perform in big games, which leaves the Dolphins in a bit of a conundrum. You see, the game started out with some field goals and some turnovers, and Houston at one point even took a 14-point lead, but there was a point in the game where Miami was down by only 8, and they were driving for a potentially game-tying score, and Tua threw an interception, one of his 3 on the day, and one of his 4 turnovers in general on the day, which goes back to what I meant at the beginning. The Dolphins are in a conundrum. Tua is by far the best quarterback on their roster, and they have success with him, way more than any other quarterback they've put out there, and yet, is he good enough to win big games with? I don't know. He might be the Hawaiian version of Derek Carr. Anyways, the Texans won to set up another divisional round loss later this year. Jets versus Jacksonville. It's been a hard luck season for the Jets, but nobody really seems to care because Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback and a lot of people want to see Aaron Rodgers fail. For what it was worth, this was a pretty exciting game between two teams that are both out of the playoff picture. A lot of touchdowns and field goals too, if that sort of thing gets you turned on because you're a fucking weirdo. Anyway, with about 5 minutes or so left in the third quarter, this game got spicy. Rodgers and Davante Adams had a vintage day. Mac Jones, in place of Trevor Lawrence, had some nice throws for touchdowns. But really the story was all about Aaron Rodgers finding his groove again, which of course, being in Jets fashion, is already once they're eliminated from the playoffs, but better late than never, I guess. Davante Adams had like 150 yards in the final couple minutes, and the Jets almost stupidly blew the game by scoring a touchdown, but Mac Jones is just physically incapable of throwing the ball downfield without being intercepted, and it was intercepted by Sauce Gardner. And that's how it ended. The Jets got a win, which at this point of the season, is that a good or a bad thing? Cincinnati versus Tennessee. You're not going to believe this, but the Titans started the game off looking pretty well, scoring touchdowns, getting interceptions, but their defense remained doo-doo, and Joe Burrow, who just got exposed for having a side chick in his house, played with the vengeance of 1,000 suns, although he still had a couple turnovers, but that's neither here nor there. This was a pretty competitive game for the most part, until right around halftime, and then the Bengals started to pull away, with a pick 6 off of Will Levis, who threw 3 interceptions and quite honestly might have seen his career end because he got benched for Mason Rudolph, which is just not good at all, for either him individually or the team, and Mason Rudolph came in and threw an interception himself because he's Mason Rudolph. The Titans would score a couple garbage time touchdowns to make the final score seem a little bit more cosmetic, but make no mistake, this was a blowout. And look, I'm sorry, I don't care how much CTE I get, you are not going to get me to wear this fucking diaper cap on my head. It's literally like a diaper. Look at that shit. Kansas City versus Cleveland. Oh, wow. You're not going to believe this, but once again, Patrick Mahomes had a so-so game, and the Chiefs won anyway because Jameis Winston threw a bunch of picks. So, all joking aside, that probably doesn't surprise you very much because that's basically been the Chiefs all season long, and they won this game pretty comfortably. But the one serious bit of news from this game was that Patrick Mahomes suffered a high ankle sprain in the second half, which caused the Chiefs to rely on Carson Wentz. Now, because the Chiefs have a game on Saturday, my guess is that they'll rest Mahomes and play Carson because after all, they are 13-1. Still, the bigger question remains, will Mahomes be able to turn it on in the playoffs after what's been undoubtedly a disappointing individual regular season? History says he can, but either way, if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl this year, they need to get rid of Matt Nagy because he's done nothing but drag down Mahomes' career numbers ever since he became offensive coordinator, and he's probably a secret double agent for Tom Brady. Dallas versus Carolina. Holy crap, a Cowboys game that wasn't on primetime TV. I cannot believe it. This is super rare. But you know what's not rare? Being able to beat a team led by Bryce Young. Now, I know Bryce Young has had a little bit of a resurgence lately, which basically means he went from historically bad to just plain dog shit, which he was in this game. There was really nothing memorable from this game besides the Cowboys trying a 70-yard field goal just before halftime, which badly missed by Brandon Aubrey. The Cowboys ended up winning this game pretty handily to improve to 6-8, which kept their playoff hopes somewhat alive, but we all know they're not going to make the playoffs. What we don't know is whether or not Bryce Young will be back with the Panthers next year, just 2 years after being picked first overall. Is David Tepper going to give him another chance, or is he going to admit his mistake? It's not really a strong quarterback class, so I think Bryce Young gets another year. But either way, did you know the Cowboys haven't been to a conference championship game since 1995? Wow, they suck. Baltimore versus the Giants. Rematch of Super Bowl 35, where the Ravens kicked the Giants' ass. Was pretty much the story here, too. The Ravens came in and did what you expect to a 2-11 team. They destroyed the Giants and Tommy DeVito and all the terrible Italian jokes that people are making along with it. At no point in this game, even after the Giants made a touchdown to make it 14-7, did it ever feel like the Giants had any chance. This is the type of game that Lamar Jackson thrives on. Regular season games against terrible teams, and he exploded in the stat column, which will make his numbers look MVP worthy, but I'm not sure if he deserves it. But either way, I'm not going to bash a guy for doing what he should do against bad teams, which is destroy them, especially if they're a division rival of my Eagles, and it makes me laugh to watch them lose. So yeah, no real big takeaways from this game. We all know Lamar Jackson can dominate bad teams in the regular season, and we all know the Giants suck. Moving on. Washington versus Nolans. Former LSU superstar and Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels came back home and put on a performance, at least early on, throwing a couple touchdown passes and leading a field goal drive, which gave Washington a 17-0 lead midway through the third quarter. But to their credit, the Saints and their 5-8 record did fight back. They made it 17-7, and then after a Washington field goal, they made it 20-10, then 20-13, but nobody cares about field goals. You care about touchdowns. And that's what happened on the final play of the game when Spencer Rattler, who came into the game for Jake Haener, threw a touchdown to make it a one-point game, and the Saints said, who gives a fuck? We're 5-8, we might as well go for 2. Went for 2, and they failed, and they lost, and that's basically that. Tampa Bay versus the Chargers. Normally, when you've been watching football for years like I have, and you're an expert like I am, you can kind of get a feel for a game the way it's going, and this is the rare exception where the way the game ended was nothing like it felt for the first 2.5 quarters. Because for the first 2.5 quarters, it seemed like the Chargers were in control. Justin Herbert was having another great game. The defense was doing okay, but then things started to break down. Mike Evans scored a long touchdown. Buccaneers kicked a field goal, but then after Herbert threw an interception, it seems like the entire bottom just fell out. No offense to women with BBLs. The Buccaneers just could not stop scoring points, and all of a sudden the Chargers offense could keep doing nothing, and before you knew it, the Buccaneers, after being down 17-10, unraveled 30 straight points to win in a blowout 40-17 to improve to 8-6, while the Chargers dropped to 8-6. Boy, I tell you, I don't remember who the Buccaneers quarterback in 2022 was, but they certainly do not miss him. Arizona versus New England. Normally I say you don't bet on post-October Kyler Murray, but when a terrible team like the New England Patriots comes in, that's still weird for me to say after growing up during the dynasty, you take your chances, and that's exactly what happened. The Cardinals even scored earlier on a fumble offensive return touchdown, which is rare as hell, which lets you know what type of time this game was going to be on. Again, the game was never really competitive. The Cardinals opened up a 23-3 lead at one point. Drake May, again, had some flashes where you go, wow, but the consistency still isn't there because the team is terrible. Gerard Mayo looks like a guy at the drive-thru who's going to take your order and not a football coach. So for New England, it was a pretty lifeless and not positive blowout loss. For Arizona, you did what you should do. You improved to 7-7. You're still alive in the playoff hunt, but still not really learning much about Arizona either because the Patriots stink. Denver versus Indianapolis. This game was boring and yet exciting at the same time. I can't really explain it. There were touchdown runs, there were interceptions, including what is probably the single funniest interception or single funniest play that I've ever really seen. And no, I'm not talking about the play where Jonathan Taylor stupidly let go of the football before crossing the goal line. What is going on with football players this year? Deshaun Jackson disease is spreading all across the league, and the NFL has nothing to say for it. Neither quarterback played really well or threw the ball well, but neither did receivers, because in the fourth quarter early with Denver leading 17-13, the Colts receiver had the single funniest interception of all time. He threw it back on a trick play, and it was intercepted before it could get back to Anthony Richardson and returned for a pick six. This player, I shit you not, now has more career pick sixes than Jamarcus Russell. Imagine that. You're not even a quarterback, and you have more career pick sixes than Jamarcus Russell. Congratulations. Either way, Anthony Richardson once again struggled as a passer. Bo Nix finally made some good plays. Sean Payton was passing out pills after the game. All is well in Denver, but all is not well in Indianapolis. They should just sign Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck. Like, come on.
My Eagles versus the Steelers.
You know, I normally don't give a crap what the haters and the critics say, but I will say it is a little bit annoying that when the Eagles go on these long winning streaks, which are becoming somewhat common now over the last couple years, the conversation always seems to be about not giving Jalen Hurts credit. The Eagles are currently on a 10-game win streak, and they basically handled a not terrible Steelers team that came in at 10-3 pretty handily at home. Jalen Hurts had another great game, and the conversation's really, is Jalen Hurts the worst quarterback to win 10 games in a row? I mean, for crying out loud, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, but the guy has won a lot of games and he's put up a lot of good stats, and I know a lot of people hate on him for the tush push, which is really just butthurt because a lot of people's teams can't get down to the end zone or the 1 yard line as well as Jalen Hurts can lead his offense to the 1 yard line. So you can kiss the fattest part of my ass. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and he should have a Super Bowl by now, if not for his defense and special teams letting him down. But don't worry, he's going to win his Super Bowl this year, and the Eagles are going to win it in general, and when they do win it, I'm going to run naked through the streets of Philadelphia. That's a promise, not a threat. Or maybe it's both.
Buffalo versus Detroit.
Let me sum up this game pretty succinctly. Buffalo scored a touchdown, then Buffalo scored another touchdown, then the Lions scored a touchdown, then Buffalo scored another touchdown, and then the Lions scored another touchdown. The Bills missed an easy field goal. The Lions missed a field goal. The Bills scored a touchdown. Then the Bills scored another touchdown. Then the Lions eventually, you guessed it, scored a touchdown. The Bills finally made a field goal. The Lions, you guessed it, scored a touchdown. Then the Lions tried an onside kick, which failed, and resulted in a, you guessed it, Bills touchdown. But the Lions responded with, yes, a touchdown, before the Bills responded with a field goal, which nobody likes, and then the Lions responded with another touchdown to make it a 48-42 game to drop the Lions to 12-2. Thank you so much, Buffalo. Now my Eagles have a shot at the 1 seed. Jared Goff and Josh Allen laughing about how hot their wives are. Fucking assholes. Green Bay versus Seattle. You see, this is how the 2014 NFC Championship game should have gone for the Packers. They played a solid game. They took advantage of Seattle's turnovers to win pretty comfortably, but guess what? That's not what happened. In fact, the Packers failed to take advantage of it, and instead we ended up having the Seahawks throw an interception at the 1 yard line, which gave Tom Brady another Super Bowl. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. But it's not my fault that this game was so fucking boring and unmemorable. I mean, Jesus Christ, at one point, Sam Howell, remember him from Washington last year? Yeah, he got off the bench because Geno Smith got hurt. Came in, threw a couple interceptions, got sacked a couple times. Matt LaFleur is still handsome. What more do you really want to know about this game?
Minnesota versus Chicago.
Wow, what an amazing, exciting game that featured field goals and touchdowns and literally nothing else to talk about because this game was never close at any point. The Bears, after the first quarter, never had the ball within one possession again. Just what a fucking terrible game this was. I'm sorry to be a Debbie Downer here, but I mean, this was just terrible. The only exciting play was when the punter got the shit kicked out of him on a punt block towards the end of the game when it was garbage time. The Caleb Williams threw a garbage time touchdown. By the way, the Bears lost decisively. Once again, they're 0-8 in their last 8 games. This is setting up for another season where the Vikings make the conference championship game and get blown out, just like 2017, 2009, and 1998. Oh, and of course 2000 as well. Atlanta versus Las Vegas. Once again, the law states that no Kirk Cousins team can stray too far away from being 500. With that in mind, you should have known Atlanta was going to win this game, also because the Raiders stink. But there was something for everybody in this game. There were touchdowns, field goals, there was a safety, there was a blocked punt. What a wacky and exciting adventure this was, am I right? There was also missed field goals for people who are gamblers. It's always weird to see legendary players face off against their old teams, but that's what we saw with Desmond Ridder versus the Falcons here. Despite everything, the Raiders had a shot in the final play to win, and it came up short with an interception. So the Raiders lose, and they're going to get Shedeur Sanders. Antonio Pierce sucks. It's been a minute since I voiced over some weekly awards, so let's do it then, shall we? The award for best throw of the week goes to Aaron Rodgers, which shouldn't be a surprise. He's the best thrower of the football ever. The worst throw of the week goes to Donnie Mitchell. This will always make me laugh every time I see it. The Tom Brady check down of the week award goes to Lamar Jackson for this unbelievable unbelievable throw, just unbelievable talent. And finally, the puppy of the week goes to Scoobert Dubert, aka Scooby. You all know him and you all love him. Don't deny it.